Phyllis Kirk has always been considered one of the brightest and most effervescent ladies in television. She has in show business, and she has a fondly remembered talk show that was on daytime television. You remember her from the series The Thin Man, of course, and no matter how many films she's in, I always think of her fondly in The House of Wax. Will you welcome, please, the lovely Phyllis Kirk. Have a chair.
Yeah, right.
Has your back gone out again?
My back has gone out again. You mean why do I have the cane?
I couldn't help noticing.
Yeah, you really. No, it's actually a prop, you see. Which, I mean, it was something that Don said before about, people doing the same thing over and over again, so I just decided to come. I came on with this cane because I knew Don was going to be on the show, and I thought it would afford him an opportunity for several crippled jokes, right?
Oh, I see, yes. Oh, you do that just to help your fellow performer out.
Now, my back is out, and when I came to New York a few weeks ago, I decided that I would get a cane because New York City, if one's back is out, is not exactly the kind of place to be without letting people know that your back is out, right? Okay. But the thing that I found out about this is that all able-bodied women should carry canes in New York because I've had cab drivers leap out of cabs and open doors for me, and I've had strangers stop me on the street and suggest that they carry my packages. I have had ladies stand in the middle of 3rd Avenue and hail cabs for me. Fantastic.
There'll be a million canes on the street tomorrow. We won't know who are the fakers.
Great prop. I suppose it could also be a marvelous weapon, too, right? No, but that actually did happen to me, standing on 3rd Avenue the other day, frantically in the rain, waving my cane for a cab, right? And this terribly good-looking, younger lady, very well-dressed, inched ahead of me and began waving her hand. And I marched up to her, cane and all, and said, "Madam, are you blind? Can you not see that I am trying to hail a cab?" And she looked at me and said, "Madam, you are not going to believe this, but I'm trying to get a cab for you." Oh, talk about one-upsmanship. That was it. Okay.
That shows that we make the worst possible assumptions about people.
Yeah, right.
You're fresh here from California.
I'm fresh here from California.
I don't know why it's always called the coast. We have a coast here, too.
Yeah, I know you do. But that one is the coast, and this is just a coast.
Oh, that's true. You have the coast. Putting us in our place.
No, I'm a New Yorker, and I love New York. And the reason I told you about the cab drivers is because I want everybody in the world to know that New York is not really the hideous hellhole that everybody says it is. I'm fresh from the coast because I come here at least once a year just to do the Dick Cavett show.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yes, and I've been doing so little for the rest of the year and last year that I decided that if I came to New York and did your show, I would be a kind of fresh face for you.
Oh, that's nice. You saved yourself.
Nobody's seen me anywhere else. That's right.
I don't know whether The House of Wax was your favorite movie you ever did or not. You may think
was not.
Achieved greater heights of artistry, but I always think of The House of Wax, because I saw it in 3D with the glasses.
So does everybody else think of The House of Wax. When Jack Warner told me, I was under contract with Warner Brothers at the time that picture was made, and Mr. Warner came to me and told me that I was going to be in The House of Wax and told me what it was about, and I screamed and yelled and said, "I will not become the Fay Wray of my time." Well, Fay Wray was the lady who was in King Kong, you see, which is a big horror film, right? And Fay Wray, for 100 years, was remembered for King Kong.
You didn't want to be
I'm remembered for The House of Wax.
That's right. And by me, even though I know you've done all that other stuff, so nothing you can do about it. Are you involved in anything these days that's involving your entire being? You know what I mean? I mean, you're always doing something. You're always involved in some.
Well, yes. As a matter of fact, I'm here for another reason, which is kind of interesting, which is that I developed with a young writer in California a daytime serial. A kind of soap cereal, or a cereal soap, however you say it. And I'm taking that now to the networks, who are very interested in it. And it was written, of course, with me in mind to play the part, but I'm not really nearly as interested in that as I am in producing it, right? So I may become a producer.
Well, you want to do that?
Pardon?
You want to produce?
Well, this particular thing, because I've been working on it.
Because it'll be very handy.
It'll make me very, very formidable. And let me see, what else am I doing? In California, I work with a divine group of ladies who call themselves NOW, but that's not the National Organization of Women. It's a thing called Neighbors of Watts. and we built a child care center in Watts, and I worked very diligently at helping the other ladies take care of that and raise money to run it. I'm doing that. Let me see, what else am I doing? Well, actually, the real reason that I came to New York was because my husband was here. My husband, Warren Bush, is the vice president of Wolper Productions, and Mr. Oh, well, right, okay.
We've managed to get him a seat in the back up there.
Right. And Mr. Wolper and Mr. Bush come to New York once a year for their annual sales spasm. That means that they come here to sell their product for the next year. And I know that my husband's hours in New York usually end around 10:30 at night, whereas in California they usually end around 12:30 at night. So I figured another good reason for coming to New York, besides seeing you, was to come here and have dinner with my husband, right?
Oh, in that order?
Yeah. Well, no, not necessarily in that order. No.
Are people in Hollywood, when the Oscars are over, are they forgotten the next day, or do people sit around and say, so-and-so really got the shaft and so on? And
Oh, they talk about it for a long time because they spend so much time talking about it beforehand. I think they talk about it afterwards.
I mean, are you sorry that anybody didn't get recognized that should have, or do your friends?
Well, you see, I mean, I'm not faulting any of the choices because they were all marvelous choices, but I was disappointed because Clockwork Orange didn't get nominated for something. I thought it was a marvelous film, and I happen to be a Stanley Kubrick, freak.
What? It didn't get nominated for anything?
Well, it got nominated, but it wasn't chosen for anything. It got nominated for many things, for best writing, best picture, all kinds of things. And I really thought that it should have won something, and it didn't win anything. And that upset me because I am a Stanley Kubrick fan, a freaky fan, as a matter of fact. I have seen Dr. Strangelove, which was made by Stanley Kubrick, 14 times. And what did you think of Dr. Strangelove?
14 times?
Yeah.
What did I think of it?
Yeah,
I have a feeling that a lot is riding on this answer.
Did you like Dr. Strange?
Yeah, I liked Dr. Strangelove.
You did? Oh, well, that's good, because one of the things I carry around with me at all times is a little black book. And I put in that little black book the names of people who did not like Dr. Strangelove, right?
That's a little strange.
And if they didn't like Dr. Strangelove,
and what are you going to do to these people?
I haven't decided yet. I haven't decided yet.
That's how you pick your friends, by whether or not they like Dr. Strangelove?
Whether or not they like Dr. Strangelove. I may send the ones that don't like Dr. Strangelove to Don Rickles, right, and let him take care of it.
Speaking of Strangelove, Don and you worked together once on a show. Wasn't he on one of the Thin Man... what was it? An episode of the Thin Man?
No, it's true. It's true.
How'd you know that?
I have a terrific memory.
Well,
you must have got... Did you tell him that?
No, of course I didn't tell him that. No, it was very funny. One night I was in Las Vegas with Warren, my husband, and we went to see Don Rickles, whom I would go 82 miles to see, as I would Miss Sill.
82 miles?
Yeah, at least 82. I mean, on foot, with my cane.
Okay.
Okay.
What are you, a highway patrolman?
Never mind.
And when we got to the show, somebody had told Don that I was in the audience, and Don stood up and did this whole big shtick about a marvelous lady who had been terribly kind to him as a fledgling actor. And I sat there like a dummy. I didn't know what he was talking about. And the next thing I knew, he said Phyllis Kirk, and he said I had a job working as a guest actor on The Thin Man, and then made me stand up. So I am the mother of his acting career, right?
Well, what she didn't tell you was that, which is a long, involved story, I played the part of Eddie, a cab driver. It was my first show, and I arrived at MGM in a rented 1938 convertible Chevy and drove right into the wall. Then I went into the studio, and the dog asked her, who she said, Phyllis at that time said, and Peter Lawford at that time was running around following Frank Sinatra's voice or something, and sat in the room with his album under his arm. Anyway, so we had Phyllis on the show, and they all told me, gee, that was a big hit show, and they said, get to know Phyllis and Peter, they'll make it easy for you, and you better be nice and don't kid around. And I was a wreck. I had trouble with Haya, and they brought out Astor, how to do this scene with the dog, and is it truth? Am I lying? And the dog was muzzled, and a trainer came out with rubber gloves and a helmet and boots, and they said, the dog won't hurt you. And Phyllis said, he's just an adorable little fox terrier, and the thing was going... And the dog worked on commands with a ball, a little squeezer ball. I'll never forget it. And I was supposedly knocked out when I came in the door by Peter Lawford accidentally, and I'm laying on the floor, and on command, the Astor was supposed to come over and lick me, and the trainer went teet teet, and the dog came over and completely took off my sport jacket, half my pants, and I stood there and I went, oh, he's going to eat a Jew.
And that was your debut.
That was my... And Peter Lawford said, get him a new jacket. I got to meet Frank in an hour.
Did the dog live?
Dick, you're dumb, Dick. You're really a dumbbell, Dick.
We'll
I
be
mean
back.
that.
I'm sorry. I was ahead earlier. We're back. We don't have a great deal of time left, but you go all over the world. I envy that. I'm always stuck here.
Well, I do as much as I can. Last year, in October, I had an opportunity. I had to go to London because I had a work appointment, and I also was going to do a test, strangely enough, for a film in Tel Aviv, and it just so happened that Warren's company, David Wolper's company, was making a film in Israel, which was The Crucifixion of Jesus, which was on the air a couple of weeks ago, and it was all shot in the old city of Jerusalem. And so I had, an opportunity not only to be in Israel, but I also had a chance to see that whole thing being made, which was just fantastic. The boy who starred in it is a boy from New Jersey, named Ron Greenblatt, and he just happened to be going to school in Israel, and they hired him because he looked so much like some versions of Christ. And so I spent several days in Israel during the same time that they were shooting that film, which was riotously funny in a way because all the Roman soldiers in that story were played by Israeli fighting men, Israeli soldiers, and we were shooting the whole thing in the Arab ghetto section of the old city of Jerusalem. And on the lunch hours, Jesus and the 12 disciples and the Roman soldiers would all sit just inside the gate where all the tourist buses came in, you see. And the tourists would get out of the buses, and they'd get off the bus, and you'd hear people say, "Mabel, bring your camera." I don't believe it, because there was Jesus and the 12 disciples and the 12 Romans. And people thought they were going out of our minds.
Thought they were having a vision.
And they would be sitting there, you see, with their peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, which somebody had flown in from somewhere to give them to eat for lunch. And in the middle of the Arab ghetto, right, with the tourists and Jesus and the 12 disciples, the Israeli soldiers who were playing Roman soldiers would break out of sheer boredom. They would break into Israeli fighting songs, you see, in the middle of all of this. Yeah, it was completely confused.
Wow.
But
was anybody
fantastic
offended that a commercial enterprise was being done in these sacred settings and all?
No, because Mr. Wolper and Warren, my husband, and everybody involved with the film had set it up very carefully with the Israeli government and with all the churches involved, and so all the actors, professional actors who were used in the film, were Israeli actors. So no one was concerned about that.
Perfect place for Rickles. Imagine what he could do with a Jewish Roman Arab.
Tell me, what could you do with a Jewish Roman Arab?
Nothing, just run.
A lot of Jerusalem, though, has become very commercialized.
Well, the funny thing, in the old part of Jerusalem, it's exactly as it was 3,000 years ago. And to the eye, to the casual observer's eye, when you come in, it really does look exactly as all the paintings and photographs that you've ever seen of the old city. But the set dressers for this movie were running around frantically trying to hide little television antennas. I mean, in the middle of this 3,000-year-old section, there are television antennas and light bulbs and shutters and all kinds of things that were not there.
The solemnity.
It was in October.
We were there over Christmas, if you'll pardon the expression.
It's all right. Your name was taken for that remark. We call it Hanukkah. Beverly deserted us. No, it's the same thing, only we don't have a tree.
We were there.
Don isn't offended.
We were there on a holiday also, which is Simchat Torah.
Simchas Torah.
Simchat Torah.
Right.
Oh, I
Thank
feel
you
left
very
out.
much.
Well, you can join up if you go for the operation.
Thanks, Don Rickles.